You are now listening to Serious Minds RNTV with your host, Professor Griff. The call-in number is 516-654-7688. That's 516-654-7688. This is Professor Griff, and this is Serious Minds RNTV. Serious Minds for Serious Minds. Seriously.
In the workspace. So be mindful of the schemes and the tricks. Oh, you always gotta come from here. Out. Racket, tilted over a slap rack and roll it. You should clear it and get back in the fight. Actually, get on target. Alright, and shoot. How am I shooting here? You gotta work those things out. You still come in, boom, boom, boom. All right, greetings, family. Hope everyone can hear me. Hold on for a second. Let me just get rid of that. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me within the sound of my voice. I want to greet everyone. Thank y'all very much. Really appreciate that for y'all joining us this evening. As y'all know, you already should know today is Wednesday, and all right, we're surviving in real time, and we're gonna have that discussion, and we're gonna kind of deal with what happened with Travis Scott in Astroworld in Houston. All right, we're going to kind of decode that, break it down, go into it, piece it apart, and get some valuable lessons. All right, so greetings to everyone. Hope everyone is doing absolutely their best. All right, shout out to Quan, and of course, shout out to my man Johnny Taylor. Where you at, man? Little goddess, how you feel? All right, shout out to the Serious Minds family on IG. Shout out to the Serious Minds family here on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, wherever you're listening to this at. Hope everyone's in good health, striving, surviving, having a good time. All right. I think Doc know the theme song to Good Times. I'm not sure. I'll ask him when he come on. I don't know. That was his day. So we'll see if he can sing it for us. But anyway, in the meantime, between time, I'm gonna bring on my very special guest. Thank you to everyone. Shout out to the Buffalo Soldiers All Women's Gun Club. Thank y'all very much for doing the damn thing, and they definitely did the damn thing. Shout out to Miss Clark. Beautiful gun club, beautiful group of women. I'm gonna let y'all know that's the first time me actually putting my signature on somebody's certificate, but these women definitely deserve it. So without any further ado, we're gonna talk about this Astroworld. We're gonna talk about Houston. We're gonna talk about Travis Scott. We're gonna talk about a few other things, diving into this to this idea of surviving. All right, so let me bring on my guest. Here we go. All right, now LP, come on, man. I went to China and came back just straight. Doc, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you, Griff.
Oh, okay, cool. Wait for LP to come on. But anyway, in any event, for the people that don't know who you guys are, y'all take turns letting people know who y'all are, what do y'all do? All right, and let's kind of take it from there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, anyway, my name is Dexter, Dexter Peggins. On social media, I go by the name of, my nickname is Doc on social media platforms. Basically, past experience in the military, 23 years in the Army as a combat medic, and also just not so distant, about 15 years working with a couple federal agencies in the area of emergency preparedness and response. But anyway, in 2012, started a company. It's called Still Standing LLC, primarily focusing on providing emergency medical training to folks in our community, such as Stop the Bleed training, and also another course I do is called Tactical Emergency Casualty Care. So basically, that's what I do. Yeah.
Okay, give thanks. And LP, let people know who you are and about your company.
Yes, I'm Larry Penton. I'm the CEO of Penton Pending Consulting Solutions, LLC. I am also a retired firefighter, paramedic, still have an active paramedic license in the state of Missouri, which is where I'm initially from. I'm also a Stop the Bleed instructor with stopthebleed.org. Part of what my company does is we help entrepreneurs get their start, get their social media footprints, get their website set up, any business, administrative things that they need, getting HR payroll things together. We do that. And we're also doing this partnership between Still Standing, which is Doc's company, and Griff. We have this 3-pronged partnership that we're doing where we're trying to teach people how to survive in real time.
In real time. That's right. I really appreciate that. Somebody sent me a text message. Did LP get a new hairstyle? What are those flowers in his hair? I was like, nah, that's a picture on the wall, y'all. Shout out to Starlet Thompson. Thank you for the donation. Really appreciate that. All right, tonight, very, 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 very interesting subject, man. So this idea now of actually what went on in what happened at Astroworld at the Astroworld concert, not Travis Scott's Astroworld concert, but the concert that I believe he might have been headlining. So it's not his. So we're not gonna fashion this thing where we put all the blame on the entertainers, on the entertainers' shoulders. All right, as we piece this thing apart. So let's make sure we get the language right. It says, what happened at the Travis Scott Astroworld concert? At least 8 people died when a crowd compressed towards the stage at a Houston event. I'm gonna play that, but I'm gonna play the I believe it was what you sent us. Hold on one second. Let me see. Here we go.
Now, investigators
Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna play the clip that you sent us. Is that okay, LP? All right, cool. Hold on 1 second. Let me share my screen so we can kind of get a context from which we'll have to have this conversation. Is that cool?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, sounds good, Griff.
All right, cool.
Hoping that video from that music festival tragedy helps them piece together exactly what went wrong. MSNBC anchor Lindsay Reiser joins us now with a minute-by-minute breakdown. Lindsay, help us understand what happened here. Walk us through some of these videos we're seeing.
Yeah, it really is incredible. And right now we know that while a ton of evidence needs to be gathered, while facts need to be pieced together, including how many people were in the venue at the time, these videos really are giving us the closest glimpse we have yet into what happened.
From the moment the doors to Astroworld opened, there was chaos at NRG Park. At 2 p.m., a stampede of concertgoers exploded through security gates, with dozens being trampled in the process. As the clock ticked down to Travis Scott's arrival, tens of thousands of fans crammed into the venue to see the rap star perform.
Where your feet were placed is where your feet stayed the whole night.
Concertgoers told NBC News that around 8:30 p.m., the crowd began to compress and push, making moving, even breathing, difficult.
5, 4, 3, 2. As soon as that countdown went to 0, it was just my rib cage was so squished that I couldn't expand my chest, expand my lungs to catch a breath.
Just after 9 p.m., Travis Scott took the stage, and the atmosphere in the venue ignited, electrifying an already feverish mob of fans. According to a video analysis by NBC News, by 9:12 p.m., people in the crowd could be heard screaming for help. Houston police say they first received reports of people falling injured around 9:30 p.m. It was around that exact time when Travis Scott briefly paused the show after noticing an ambulance. Moments later, he asked fans to put a middle finger up to the sky if they were okay.
Everybody go put a middle finger up in the sky.
Seconds after, a video was taken of 18-year-old Aiden Cruz trying to notify a camera operator of the dangers taking place in the pit. 20-year-old Cynthia Lira found herself at the bottom of a pile of people and felt she wasn't going to make it out alive.
At first, I was like, help, help, I can't get up. And then when people started coming on top of me, I was just like, I can't breathe. I kept screaming, like, help, help, like I'm going to die in here.
At one point, Lira says she found herself holding the hand of another stranger trapped in the pile, both silently accepting what felt like an inevitable fate.
It just felt like we were like in that together. Like, it was such a tragedy. Like, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. But, well, we were stuck in a situation. We couldn't do anything. So we were just like, okay, like, I guess.
At 9:32 p.m., a young woman is seen attempting to alert the same camera operator. She steps in front of the camera, but the concert continues. By 9:38 p.m., a mass casualty event has been declared, and Live Nation agrees to cut the show short. 3 minutes later, security officials are seen running through the pit. At 9:42 p.m., Travis Scott pauses the concert midway through a song and asks security to help someone who's gone unconscious. At almost the exact same time, part of the crowd can be heard chanting, "Stop the show," as a member of the security team alerts the staff to multiple people without pulses. At 9:46 p.m., members of the Houston Police Department can be seen in the pit. By 9:54 p.m., Drake has taken the stage, and a number of concertgoers are seen standing on top of an emergency vehicle. At 10:11 p.m., Travis Scott finishes his set and the concert ends, more than 30 minutes after a mass casualty event was declared. 8 people in the crowd died that night, their ages ranging from 14 to 27. In statements to the public, NRG Park and Live Nation both said they're working closely with authorities as they work to investigate the situation. Travis Scott took to Instagram to express his condolences for the lives lost.
I could just never imagine the severity of the situation.
Across social media, survivors continue to share their stories, raising awareness and hoping for change.
I really hope that my story and my word will help to put guidelines and preventions so like this will never happen again. It should have never happened in the first place.
See, these user videos.
All right, gentlemen. All right. First of all, we want to say we're not doing trauma porn here. All right, we're not trying to profit and sound intelligent, and kind of profit off of these individuals losing their lives or the situation, or Travis Scott or Live Nation or whatever. Our condolences go out to the people that lost their loved ones, and we're going to send some positive energy their way so the healing can begin. This is not to bash Travis Scott, Live Nation, or any of the sort. We are piecing it apart to give some kind of solutions, piecing it apart to get an idea what we could have done in any of those particular situations, whether we were security, police, emergency, cameraman, innocent bystander, fan, or whatever. All right, so I just wanted to lay that out there. All right, gentlemen, just overall, just give me your assessment real quick, and then we'll dive into the nuts and bolts of it. All right.
Larry, you can start off.
As a firefighter and a paramedic, this just breaks my heart. And I have so many questions that I'm still piecing together the answers to myself.
Right.
Just from the research that I've been doing since this event happened. I was literally up all night last night till about 7 o'clock this morning, and I was doing research. I was chatting with a bunch of people that were sending me different bits of information. There were a number of people that I was actually talking with that were actually at the event that was giving me some background information on what they saw from their perspectives. I think that when you have these events, whether it be a concert, indoor, outdoor, whether it be a sporting event, because Houston just hosted part of the World Series a week or two ago, or whatever the event is, whether it's one person there or you got 1 million people there, you have to, and when I say you, I mean the organizing bodies have to come up with a plan of how you're going to deal with the good, the bad, and the ugly that could possibly occur. And they have to work with the local authorities on creating an event plan, an emergency operations plan, because you always prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And so whether it be the police, whether it be the fire department, the EMS department, the promoters, the producers, the event staff, any third-party vendors that they bring in, whether it be EMS, as they had in this case, they also had third-party security that was there. And so I got a bunch of notes that we're going to talk about here, but in my mind, we think about NIMS, which is the National Incident Management System, or we, for short, we'll call it the ICS. And we'll talk about that because this is under FEMA, the emergency management, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. They have guidelines for pretty much any event that you can think of or come up with. And they have templates on their website that you can download and fill in for these events on who's going to be the incident command staff, who's going to be doing logistics, who's going to be doing safety, who's going to be responsible for bada, 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 bada. I'll pass it over to Doc to fill in some more information.
Yeah, pretty much what you were saying, Larry, obviously it's unfortunate. Any loss of life is unfortunate, whether it be one or whether it be 21 or 101, especially when folks are coming to an event with the expectation of having a good time, having fun, enjoying themselves. And then it results in something like that, a loss of life. And then you also have people who are critically injured. Sometimes even the best plan, will go awry. No matter how well you plan, there's always some things that could happen where it kind of almost, I'm not going to say defeats the plan, but it's like you could not have planned for it. I would say an event like this, mass casualty, crowd control, resulting in this mass casualty incident, I would think that would be part of their emergency planning process as far as the event planning. I'm sure they look at things like, that large group of people, the typical medical stuff, people overheating, getting exhaustion, that type of stuff. They probably even look at, maybe, I would hope they even look at active shooter. What if you had an active shooter in a crowd like that? But, a crowd surge or the surging of the crowd resulting in those types of injuries, that should definitely have been part of the planning process. Not saying that it wasn't, because it could have been, but whatever happened, the outcome wasn't, I'm sure, what nobody would have anticipated.
Right. It says in one article that I've kind of noticed, I think the Wall Street Journal talks about Travis Scott's actions during the deadly show are questioned. It says Houston's fire chief says the rap star should have stopped the show before he did. Lawyers for hip hop star said he didn't see the chaos. And
right.
I can speak for that. When you're on stage, because I've been in that situation, when you're on stage and you're in a zone, you might see a couple of people passing out, but you take them out of the crowd, give them some water, take them to the first aid thing that they have in the back of the stage. And, a lot of times they're all right. We've watched Michael Jackson concerts and other people's concerts. What's the little boy groups and boy bands that come out, little white girls be passing out and all that kind of stuff. And they're absolutely fine after a minute.
Right.
Sometimes the artists don't realize the severity of it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what was going on with him. So it wasn't like he was doing this malicious kind of thing where he kept the concert going. Now, listen, I can honestly say, not speaking for him because I'm not his defense attorney, but I'm saying stopping the concert sometimes is more dangerous. You don't No, I'm sorry, LP. Hold on. You don't want to rile the crowd up to the point where whatever. But I think the cameraman should have paid attention. Security in the pit. And I think there should have been some kind of way to alert him or his manager or somebody or security, head of security, to say, look, it's Sinead, we got something serious going on. What was you going to say, LP?
From your experience as a performing artist with Public Enemy, can you explain to everybody that's watching what normally, if let's say you guys were performing and that happened, what normally happens during that process as far as whoever's going to notify you, talk to you, or what happened? What happened?
Our setup was slightly different, meaning that we had people on stage performing and I was one of them. But I played a dual role, me and the S1Ws. We secure the stage. We make sure Chuck, Flav, Terminator, DJ Lord, everybody else is cool. You understand what I'm saying? We are secondary. But we're always watching the audience in case somebody want to run up on that stage and get dealt with. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if we saw people getting hurt in the audience, all right, we will have the S1Ws pull Chuck and Flav back, and I will stop the show.
Okay.
It's simple. I don't give a fuck what the situation is. I'm stopping the show. Yo, DJ, chill, hold on. Security, check this out. You might want to handle that real quick before we move the show so the show gets stopped. But a lot of times, people don't have our security measures in place. A lot of times, when you see a cat like Travis Scott, normally security are off stage or in the pit. And there's no one to give that order to stop the show. I had that. Luckily, I had that authority to do that. And several times I've done that. You understand what I'm saying? But when he's in a zone, as you can see when the show started, Dude was in a zone.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? He was doing what he do.
Oh yeah, entertaining. Yes, indeed.
You could say that about Paula Abdul, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson. Hell, you could say that about anyone, especially a guy like Flavor Flav. When you in a zone, you in a zone. You understand what I'm saying? You're not stopping a Dougie Fresh show.
Right. Oh yeah.
Be something smooth like Frankie Beverly and Maze.
Right.
And of course, you can get somebody's attention, before somebody sing a love song, but this kind of music, and we're going to dive into some of the demonic things that went on at this particular concert. You understand what I'm saying? So you guys tell me, if you were in any of those situations, whether you were security, now let me just say this on behalf of EMS, police, and fire department. They were there on the scene. All right, they were doing their job, but they weren't in communication with one another.
Right, exactly.
To know that people were dying in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Are you following what I'm saying? So the average Joe Blow security dude that they hired 2 days ahead of time didn't know to alert EMS that somebody's passed out, dying, getting trampled, or whatever. So they just weren't in communication with one another. So if you guys were just security or the average bystander, how would you have handled that situation? Dead people were being passed to the front like it was a wave going on. And they were passing dead bodies to the front, so to security. I've even seen one situation where security dropped this woman on her head. Wow. So,
even though, because I was reading that, the only one who could stop the concert or stop the performance was like the event planners and the people who basically oversaw the entire event. Right. So like you said, Griff, they didn't have that. They didn't have the ability like you may have had on the stage to be able to grab the mic and say, hey, shut it down and stop. However, when you got that many people out there, I might see something that's going on over here on this side. It seemed like an isolated incident. Somebody got something going on in the rear. Somebody got something going on to the far right. To that person that's in that vicinity, those are like isolated events that may not get their attention to alert them or make them think, hey, it's something more than just this one person. They didn't see them other 20 people that they had passed forward towards the stage. Right. To make them even trigger the thought that this is a mass casualty incident taking place. But once that became so that you got the folks up front by the stage in the pit once all these bodies and these unconscious folks start coming forward, being passed forward, you would hope that someone up there, because they were being moved forward, not to the rear, they were being passed forward, okay, to get out of the crowd. There might have been some passed around other directions, but it seemed like they were probably being passed forward. So as a security person along the front, and you see this happening, I think it might not be your contractual requirement or obligation, but I think a moral and a common sense obligation is, hey, we need to stop. We need to, because the person with the biggest voice is the guy up on the stage. He got the microphone.
Exactly.
He can broadcast to everybody. Everybody can hear, whoever was performing at the time. Hey, we got some medical emergencies. Everybody just stop what you're doing right now because, we need everybody's attention. Just stop right now because, whatever is going on. So the person with the mic, even though it's not his or her responsibility, but at that point, they got the biggest voice. Because right now you need control, organization, communication. And like you said, those guys weren't able to communicate with each other. So the guy who could communicate to everybody is the guy on stage.
Right.
Okay.
I think he was probably the main focal point to stop the show because it's his show. Whether you want to understand that, believe that, or not, it's him to stop the show. It's his show. He has to give that call.
Right.
Now, whoever he listens to, i.e. road manager, you understand, may give the call to alert him. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So what's your take, LP?
I'm just going to piggyback off what Doc said. As far as the event staff, you should always have the fire marshal who not only has the power to shut shit down immediately in terms of, hey, you know what, we've either reached capacity, there's an emergency going on, whatever the situation is, the fire marshal typically in most municipalities is the guy or the gal that everything stops with him or her.
No, that's absolutely true. If he had known.
Okay,
so let's assume that he knew.
Let's assume that he knew. Well, then the question stands, well, why and where was he? So when the mass casualty incident was declared by the incident commander, because the fire marshal is not that person, it's probably the fire chief in most cases. Immediately, the first person that he or she should have turned to was the fire marshal and say, hey, or they should have been right next to each other. Hey, you need to get to the stage and shut it down. Whether you work with Scott and tell him hey, we're going to pause the music. I got to take a pee break. The show's over with. Whatever he had to say, or if they had a script or whatever, that's typically how it should have gone. I know they said it took 40 minutes because they didn't want to cause a riot with all the people there and all that.
That's not true. They're saying that he did say something and he stopped the show for a minute.
No, I'm saying the fire chief said that, and the police chief said that once the MCI was declared at 9:38, I believe, it took them 40 minutes to get the crowd to disperse, basically.
And I think that was a conversation that was happening backstage with the promoter, and I believe his managers basically like, if we stop the show, it may be more issues.
Sure.
Let's kind of deal with it the best way we know how to deal with it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But go on. I'm sorry. Go on.
And so that's where my mindset is. Well, what was going on backstage with the incident command team? As a spectator, if I'm there in that crowd, I'm not on duty. I'm just there because I want to see the show, and I start seeing people falling out and passing out. I mean, you got to remember, it's 50,000 people that are in this confined area because everybody's all compacted like sardines. You're basically like a crumb on the table, and so unless there's some ingress and egress and in and out in that crowd space, which they didn't have really anything set up. There was no dividing dividers between, like they didn't have rows and sections set up because it was a standing room only situation. So that's going to be something that they're going to have to start thinking about for future events. But if I'm there in that event, there's really not a whole lot that you can do other than what you saw people doing. Notifying security. It may not be the best thing to do to go up on the stand and talk to the cameraman and try to get that person's attention. But hey, if you got to raise sand, you got to raise sand to try to get the word out or what have you.
Right.
And I mean, you can't really do more than what we saw being done by those bystanders as far as notification.
Right. I've seen an aerial view, and I have some pictures on my phone. I've seen an aerial view because what I started doing after like the first day, I started looking at the symbology because, I do remember diving into some metaverse stuff to try to understand it some time ago. And Travis Scott was one of those particular individuals that he actually did a concert in the metaverse. And I think they said damn near 1 billion people came. Wow. No, I didn't say 1 million. I didn't say a couple of thousand. I said damn near 1 billion people witnessed this online in the metaverse, his concert. And the demonic images I seen, even with that, and then the demonic energy following that, even after he started blowing up, marrying himself into that demonic energy with the Kardashians, and then not necessarily following these dudes, but I'm looking at symbology and I'm looking at images. I'm looking at demonic frequency and this kind of thing, and I keep seeing dudes show up. Now, Astroworld, we're not going to dive deep into it. The demonic images, the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, the whole scene, the inverted cross. Yeah, for anyone that's symbol literate looking at this, be like, wow, this was an entire damn ritual. You understand? But we're not going to dive into that. I'm going to look at the fact that the lady climbed on stage to tell a responsible cameraman and light dude, look, someone's dying. You would think that a human being would say, well, hold up, I know I'm doing light and I know I'm doing sound or lights. Let me stop and lend some aid. You understand what I'm saying? What happened to that dynamic?
You're right. Because, you're right, because that camera person had a headphone mic on. At the camera, you can swivel the camera around to see, I don't know what the geometric capabilities of the camera were, because it was
I think it was the light man. She was trying to get his attention.
Oh, okay. I thought they said it was camera, but either way, that person has access to radio communications to be like, hey, something's going on here. Somebody's telling me that there's people dying and passing out and all hell is breaking out over wherever I'm stationed. You might want to get security and some medical people over here. So
yeah, and one of the issues they were saying too, and me and Larry was talking about this earlier, and I think you just mentioned it earlier too, Griff, was the fact that they have poor communications out there. They weren't even able to talk to each other. So if I'm on one side of the field and I got all kind of chaos going on and I need some help, they weren't able to even communicate properly, especially trying to communicate to the folks outside that perimeter, like the local fire safety guys that were staged outside of the area.
Right. So now help me out, and I'm just throwing this out there. I've heard in several news sources, and I've read it, that one security guard said right before he passed out, he felt someone prick him in the neck with something. Yeah. Were they stabbing people? Were they injecting people? What actually started the stampede? I mean, they said people were just falling out that weren't even in the front, getting smashed. What's your take on that?
I would imagine that at a venue like that, where you had 528 law enforcement officers from HPD, you had 755 private security. The people that I talked to last night and early this morning that were there were saying that they really weren't even checking anybody. They weren't doing COVID checks. They weren't doing. They weren't really patting anybody down. They had metal detectors up, but when the initial surge happened at 2:00, there was nobody that was manning those stations or whatever. So people were coming in, and they were saying that Scott had told people to come in any way you can get into the facility or the Astroworld or what have you. So the official number was 50,000. They didn't need an occupancy permit per the fire chief because it was an outdoor event, and he said it could be up to 200,000 people there. I think either Ticketmaster or Live Nation said that they sold over 100,000 tickets. So where's the other 50,000 folks? You know, if you're only saying 50,000 showed up, then what happened to the other 50,000 people that paid for these tickets?
No, I think they said 50,000 came over to his stage.
No. So that part, they said that 25,000 was there because they had two stages set up. So 25,000 was at one stage, 25,000 was at the second stage. And when they had the timer set up, countdown when Travis was going to hit the stage, as it got closer to zero, all those folks that were at stage 2 went over these little railing barricades that they had up. And that's where this surge of tsunami human wave came in. But as far as to answer your question about the drugs or the possible injections, I mean, if these, you know, out in St. Louis, I worked a rave event. It was a Halloween party a few years ago, and these people were falling out. They, you know, I had to administer Narcan for a number of people at this event. Nobody was checking them at the door other than they went through a metal detector and they got winded, but you weren't going through people's pockets. They had all kind of stuff in there. People were doing weed and opioids and all kind of stuff. So I would imagine at an event like this, that stuff was going on too. You got these vape pens that people can smoke weed or other substances in. And as far as the needle prick, that was the only confirmed case in terms of the security officer. I'm sure there's other ones that we're going to be finding out in the near future.
Right. So my thing is, now you have people passing out.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have more people that got pricked. All right. So now let's just say, how many people can you, assist if you were there, Doc? How many people could you assist? And you coming on the scene, and it's like people are getting passed to the front. This one's getting crushed over here. This one is just out cold. Security guard getting pricked. How do you handle that?
So that's definitely a mass casualty incident. And the first thing you have to do, there has to be some kind of established control, because if not, you're going to have different things going on in different little areas. Like looking at the video, you can see like the flashing red lights, we'll say, from a medical vehicle, but it was surrounded by people. Yeah. And you can't really properly triage those folks that have been injured or hurt until you first got to establish some type of control on site, incident command, on-site incident command. Somebody has to, hey, let's stop the concert. All those people that got pushed forward, the body surfing them to the front, however they got there. The people who were on the ground had got trampled, like the little 10-year-old boy that's in a coma now, who was on his father's shoulders, and the father passed out, and the little boy fell off, I guess. And, you got a lot of stuff going on. And there's no way you can provide effective on-scene incident command to be able to manage a situation like that unless you first have you got to first establish control of the situation. Get those lights on. Turn those lights on. We need to light up this place. All them lights off, turn them all on so we can see what's going on. Somebody get on that PA system and say, hey, we need everybody to start moving off to the side or moving away from the stage, whatever direction they need the people to move, in order for the emergency medical people to actually get to the folks to be able to provide some kind of medical care. But as long as you got chaos and there's no organization going on, you got mess on your hands. You got to first establish order, Right.
There was this footage that surfaced of Travis Scott actually talking to security, talking to the police, talking to EMS, and just talking to the people, because he stopped the show, but they never played this on the news.
Mm-hmm. No, they ain't saying that. Yeah.
So he was concerned. It wasn't like he was just trying to secure the bag. He was going to get that anyway. So we don't even need to have that discussion. You understand what I'm saying? So, because my thing is, if everything is digital now and everybody paid before you got there, you ain't taking no money at the door.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Stuff. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody had to pay before they get there. He's already have a deposit secured in his bank account before he even show up. So let's stop the foolishness when that's concerned. We're talking about from the time the first person passed out. If you're a responsible individual in that crowd, then you should have rendered aid. Yeah. If you're a security guard, if you're the light guy or the sound guy, and you're seeing this go down, you should have rendered aid. Would you agree, LP?
Absolutely. Here's where another problem we're finding out ensued, because there was an ICU nurse that was on scene who was just a paid spectator. And she's done a number of news reports, and she did a 15-minute news report for one of the local Houston stations, and she detailed what happened with her. She ended up getting crushed in that crowd close to the stage, passed out. Somebody pulled her out, crowd surfed her body to one of the side areas where security was. She said she came to, passed out again for a short period of time, came to again and woke up, had a water bottle in her lap. And when she came to the second time, she saw people laid out on the ground. CPR was being performed by medical and security staff. And she said at that point, once she recovered, she became a responder. And so she was like, what can I do to help? She said she saw people doing CPR incorrectly. She said either they were not doing it at the correct rate and depth, and or they were doing it to people that didn't need it. Because if you have a pulse and you have respirations, meaning that you're breathing, you're alive. You don't need CPR. CPR is only for a person or people with two problems. They don't have a pulse and they don't have any respirations. That's the only reason ever, unequivocally, that you do CPR on somebody. She said there was staff there that didn't do pulse checks. They didn't even know how to check a pulse properly. So she had to take over in a number of situations where she was actually, some people she was able to revive, some she wasn't. But in those situations, you know, when you have all those medical staff, and I did the math. So if you got 528 law enforcement, 755 private security and EMS folks, and you got 50,000 people, so that's 1,283 folks. That all of those folks, that 528 and that 755, all of those individuals should at minimum be CPR certified, at minimum.
Okay, but hold on, but you're talking about Jesus now, him and his homeboy Diego. They not certified. They standing next to somebody that passed the hell out, and they looking at them like, you understand what I'm saying? They got their phones up enjoying the concert. They not knowing everything that you're talking about. Right. So if Jesus see somebody pass out, and somebody, you just mentioned somebody said they was doing something wrong, he don't know. He's going on what he saw on a movie, something. He don't know. He don't have that first aid training.
Right. And the reason that I bring up those numbers is because if you divide 50,000 into the 1,283 of the staff that was there, the ratio is one hired staff per 38 people, which is not a bad ratio if you think about it, because you didn't have thousands of people that were hurt and injured. So that's not a bad ratio. Now, but if you don't have these people, known certified staff available, it doesn't matter what the ratio is. So that's where that problem comes in. And as a bystander, yeah, if I'm there, I may not have any CPR training, which is why we are doing what we're doing with our upcoming Zoom training on December 2nd after the first 48 seconds. December 12th. December 12th after the first 48 seconds, because we want people to know that, hey, you can be anywhere. This can happen, any type of active violence situation, any type of active shooter situation or hostile event can happen wherever you may be. What are you going to do? Are you going to be, oh, let me just go viral, or are you going to put hands on and try to save some lives?
Yeah, I got a caveat on that right there. And that is, you know, even with those many medical personnel, you still got to establish control.
Absolutely.
Because what killed a lot of what was the cause of death for some was compressible asphyxiation.
Right.
That means these people were squeezed to death to the point where they couldn't breathe.
Yes.
Now, the same thing that caused them to die, you ain't gonna have no space to work. So in reality, I might have a guy who done passed out, but he can't even fall to the ground because the crowd is so tight. You got a person that's unconscious standing up right next to you, okay? Because the crowd is so tight, the person don't have room to fall to the ground.
Right.
So if you don't got room to fall to the ground, and the only way we can get you out of the crowd, we got to lift you up over the crowd to move you to the front. Even the bystanders are not going to be able to provide care. Right. You got to get those people to a staging area, or you got to clear the crowd out to give you room to work, because you don't have room to work. You know, hell, you about to be a cashier yourself. You know, you get down on that ground, that crowd going to swarm you. So, you know, you definitely got to establish some kind of sense of order and control.
Right.
To be effective.
Right. I seen some artists ride the wave, the crowd. One gentleman said he just thought somebody was just, riding the wave. He didn't know that they were dead.
Right. Exactly.
He didn't know that they had passed out.
Right.
And you in the front having a good time with your cell phone. You into the concert and somebody's passing you somebody. You get totally caught off guard. The last thing I think a lot of them thought that they were going to go to Astroworld that night and die.
Absolutely, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
And with traumatic asphyxiation, that's exactly what it is. Like literally, you're being crushed to death, and or you just don't have enough room to expand your thoracic or your chest cavity to take in enough breaths to get that respiration and then the oxygen, carbon dioxide exchange to sustain your life. You know, I was telling Doc years ago in St. Louis at the old Checkerdome Arena, and this is in 1986, real quick. Run DMC, LL Cool J, and Houdini came into town. I was a teenager, went to the concert. Same thing happened.
Right.
The show started at 8 o'clock. They didn't open the gate. People in the back started pushing forward. I was one of the people in the front. They broke through the gate. We all fell forward like dominoes. You know, I had two friends with me. My one buddy passed out for a minute. I almost got my leg broken because it was being crushed. And it was the same thing that happened to me. And literally, it was so packed. I had people all around me. I literally lift my knees up and I was suspended in mid-air. That's how packed it was. And I had to do my arms like this and kind of lean forward to be able to expand my chest cavity to even just take a breath, you know, and it was ridiculous, you know. So these things, this traumatic asphyxiation that a lot of these spectators went through probably is going to be on their autopsy the cause of death, along with whatever other traumatic injuries they may have had being crushed and stampeded.
Right. So for the last few minutes we have left, we're going to take questions just from the audience. For anyone that want to ask a question, make sure it's a sensible question, because as we've been on the air now for 50 minutes and I've been reading some of the things that's coming up, and some of y'all need to stop, man. Y'all are reaching. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all are really, 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 really reaching. People have lost their lives, and some of y'all are on here as though, you know, it's like, come on, stop with the conspiratorial stuff. We know some of it is ritual. We understand that. I said that earlier. You understand what I'm saying? But most of y'all are like, yeah, some of y'all are trolls. Some of y'all try to get a different kind of conversation started, but we're not falling for that tonight. So come on, we're talking about people that lost their lives. And then we're talking about a situation where you're coming up out of a pandemic and people can't wait to get out. They're used to being trapped in the house. People are coming out now. So when they hear that their favorite artist is coming to town, yeah, they're going. Hell, to get out of the house is something to do.
Yep.
So yeah, 50,000 people might show up. You understand what I'm saying? If MC Buckwheat is going to be in the town. Little Skid Mark, if they come into town, of course, yeah, 1,000 people might show up. And that's real. We got to understand that particular dynamic. It ain't going to be cool and smooth and suave if Genuine come to town or Mint Condition. You understand what I'm saying? Or Stephanie Mills. It ain't going to be that kind of party.
Right.
It's going to be a whole different kind of energy. So keep that in mind.
And it's funny that you say that because they had like R&B acts there, like Earth, Wind and Fire was supposed to perform, and they didn't even get a chance to do that because I don't know if they decided to pull out or the manager was like, no, this is not going like we wanted to. But you know, you had multiple different acts that were there throughout the day performing, and so you know you had these different vibes from R&B to hip hop to whatever. But yeah, what type of questions do we have? Because
one gentleman asked, "Can he call in to talk?" No, I pulled that plug on my machine over here a long time ago. Because a lot of times when we allow people to call in, they just go off the deep end and just no, you can't call in. There is a number to the studio where you can call in and speak to the guest, but no. Next question. I would like to know if my child. I would like to know if my child died because of. Hold on for a second. They were offered as the devil as opposed to acts. Here we go with the blood sacrifice again. Now listen, before I put that in the book years ago, y'all weren't talking about nothing about no damn blood sacrifice. If y'all gonna talk about it, at least get it right. Can y'all stop that? Come on. Hold on for a second. Somebody said I was there. Okay. All right. Let me tell you something. If you know and understand the demonic nature of an individual artist's music and you still go, right? You're taking on a certain kind of energy and responsibility just by being there. Am I right or wrong?
Oh yeah.
All right. So if you know the mosh pit is going down, you might end up missing some teeth coming out of there. I'm not saying any of these individuals deserve that, but I'm saying you know what it's like in those first 10 rows. So sit your ass in the bleachers somewhere up on a different level or whatever. All right. You already know what Travis Scott lyrics are about. You already understand what goes down at the concert. So come on, when you went, Doc, when you went to a 2 Live Crew concert, you know damn well somebody was damn near getting pregnant on the dance floor. Am I right or wrong?
Oh yeah. At least, if not, at least shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
You went to a Cypress Hill concert, you know you're gonna smell some weed, some dank, some chocolate tie, some something, some black and dust, something. Am I right or wrong? You high even though you're not smoking nothing.
Yeah, it's not a question of if they were getting high. It was what color is your herb?
So you know that's gonna happen at a Cypress Hill concert. Yeah. So stop playing. If you was going to the MOP, Busta Rhymes, Onyx, any of them artists, you gonna lose some goddamn weight because you just gonna jump around.
Right.
You might lose a sneaker. I don't goddamn know. But come on, man. Am I right or wrong?
Oh yeah, you right. You own it.
Little, like I said, little Skid Mark, little Dusty, any of these dudes, man. You understand what I'm saying? Anything could go down.
Get the crowd crunk, get the hype. Yeah.
I know one thing, Griff. If I hear an artist come up with one of those names, you better get a royalty or some trademark on that. Skid Mark or Little Dusty.
Yeah, but even if Wu-Tang come to town and they letting y'all know from the rip, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. You know what they expect at the concert.
Oh yeah. And plus, it was a lot of young people out there, so you got young energy. So all you need is a guy to get it, hype it up, and hey, it's on. Your
ass is over 40, you don't belong at that concert.
Yeah.
Because your ass need probably a hip replacement or knee surgery or something after that.
Oh yeah.
That's just the energy. But let's keep it real though.
Oh yeah.
To a Public Enemy concert, your ass gonna move. We starting out with sirens.
Right.
To let you know off the rip, we bringing it. So if you at Travis Scott's concert and you see some demonic shit happening, the mosh pit going on, somebody was gonna get bandaged up that night. Am I right or wrong?
Oh yeah, exactly.
People to lose their lives though.
No, nothing equates to that. No matter what kind of energy you got, that shouldn't be the result.
Exactly.
I would just like to add, and Doc and I talked about this earlier today. It goes back to something that we've been talking about over this last month and a half of shows that we've been doing every Wednesday. And again, on December the 12th, one of the things that you're going to cover, I believe, Griff, on your portion of the Zoom meeting that we're going to have on December the 12th, is situational awareness. You know, you got to be having your head on a swivel. You got to understand what's going on around you at all times. If you're at a movie, a concert, a grocery store, or whatever, you got to constantly be looking around and see what's going on. You cannot be too careful when it comes to you. You can't. You can't be too careful when it comes to your children, your friends, your family, your loved ones, and even strangers, because, you know, when you're outside of your four walls and the roof that's over your head, the world does not care about you. The world is, you know, the world is what the world is. And I'm not saying that there aren't people that don't care about you, but I'm saying it's a mad, mad world. And there are things that we've been doing this. This is our 6th Wednesday show. We got shows that we had to put on the back burner because of this particular incident. So we always got material. The issue is not having enough material. It's having enough people that are being wise and educated about what to do in the first 48 or after the first 48 seconds. Because again, you guys know what my favorite phrase is. It's not a matter of if, but when.
It's
where
when
an active violence situation occur. And what are you going to do?
Right, when they come for you.
mm-hmm.
Let me say this. After the first 48 seconds, it's a Zoom call meeting that we're having December 12th at 7 p.m. And we're going to give live demonstrations on exactly what we're talking about now. Doc, myself, and LP, December 12th at 7 p.m. Zoom meeting. The cost is nothing but 45 bones. 45 beans, some cheddar, some guap, whatever you want to call it. What are you going to talk about, Doc?
Well, I'm going to be talking about Stop the Bleed, you know, that emergency medical care to control that life-threatening bleeding. I'm going to be talking about the importance of having medication on hand for in the event you're run out of medication and you can't get to it. I'm going to be also talking about the importance of the what we call the IFAC, individual first aid kit, and the type of equipment that you should have in that kit. And then the last area I'm going to talk about is what we call tactical emergency casualty care. And that's really geared towards those folks who have the jobs as placing them in harm's way on a regular basis.
Okay, and LP, what are you going to discuss?
My portion will cover all the levels of first responders. So from your bystanders, who we call, you know, immediate bystander responders or first call responders. We're going to go through all the levels of first responders from your emergency medical dispatchers, or what typically is known as your 911 operators, through all the levels of EMTs, from your EMT basics, advanced EMTs, EMT paramedics like myself, critical care and flight medics. We'll talk about first aid and CPR. We're not going to certify anybody to be first aid or CPR certified because this is just not the format for that, and we don't have the time for it. But we'll talk about how to do some first aid, what's the proper way to do CPR, because that was one of the issues that happened at the concert, and the proper gear and mindset, what you should have on you or with you, or what you can use if you don't have any first aid kits or IFACs. And the mindset, again, situational, kind of piggybacking on situational awareness, but
veggie back. We don't piggyback, we veggie back. But go ahead.
You're right. We veggie back. You know, we'll say
I like to get a sandwich.
But having that mindset, because another thing I would say, if you're involved in a situation like what happened, you got to check your own pulse first. If you're all jittery, you're not going to be focused on how to deal with that problem. So propagating mindset is what I'll be covering also.
All right, and I'll be talking about situational awareness. If most people know and understood the idea of situational awareness, even if you didn't have the skill to render aid to somebody passing out next to you, you could get someone's attention that you feel have that particular expertise. Security guard, EMS, police, someone. All right. Conflict avoidance we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about safety and training. Responsible gun ownership is what we're going to talk about. Just overall self-defense and overall being prepared. All right. Hold on one second. All right. We're closing this down. Any last words in this situation? This is not enough time for us to deal with all of the nuances and everything that went down. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because just the father passing out with his little boy on his shoulders and the dad passing out, then the little boy getting crushed. That's when I heard that, I was like, what would I have done in that situation? So as we close, we bring this to a close, let's hear y'all's last words on what do you think people should have done, could do, not should have, but could do in the future as the lawsuits start to come in. You understand? There's 100 people now in the hospital. 8 people are dead. All right. The traumatic experience probably affected a few thousand right now. So what can we do in the future?
I would say what I would like to leave it with is no matter where you're at, always make it a point, and this kind of ties into situational awareness, always make it a point where when you enter that space, always look for your exit and entry points, entry and exit. So, I mean, there may be a situation like what happened where maybe the people that were trapped in the crowd, no matter what, the only way they was getting out, they had to go over the crowd.
Wow.
But you may find that you're in another type of venue where something happens, like we'll say like in a club, everybody headed towards that one exit or entrance where they came in because they didn't scope out the rest of the facility.
Right.
And you get those crushing injuries or people getting trampled, maybe not on that level. So always make sure, take a moment when you enter to a space, always check for entry points and exit points. So, if something go down, at least you might have an idea how to get up out of there.
Right. You see, we're older, so we know that. But when you're trying to tell that to a 14, 15, 16-year-old, you understand what I'm saying? And when you do the demographic of the audience, you tend to see that, okay, a lot of them are really just teenagers.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to understand, and LP?
It's just hard because, you go into a concert or you go into some of these, grocery stores or shopping or what have you, and everybody's suspect. And it's a shame that we live in this society, in this world where, you can't just go to a mall or go to a store or go to a concert without wondering, is something going to happen? And I'm not saying live in a state of fear and panic by any means. I'm just saying that overall, not only do you have to be situationally aware, but use some, and I know this is maybe taboo or what have you, use some common sense. Doc and I were talking earlier again, and we were like, especially at our, I'm 50 and Doc is in his mid 60s. And so Doc, we were saying that, hey, we're not going to be in that concert right in the middle of all that mess. We're going to be by the exits, by at least the sides or something like that. We're not going to be caught up in the middle of that. And I understand that you want to be in the moment, especially as a younger person or whatever. But I just think that overall, if you are conscious of what's going on around you and what other people are doing, and if you get trained, whether it's first aid or CPR, that's going to better your odds of survival, because after the first 48 seconds, it could be life or death.
Right. No, you're definitely right. But I'm going to tell you, man, like I said, I don't know how many concerts you've been to, but who's your favorite artist, LP, back in the day?
Fight the Power.
All right. So concert, if you saw Miss Thang Thang and you was in the middle of that, You was just in the middle of it, bro.
Mhm.
You weren't playing the wall. You weren't looking for the extras. You was just in it, right?
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
think a lot of them got caught up in the moment, man. Because if
Oh,
you
yeah.
you look at the footage, at least out of the 50,000, hell, at least 30,000 had their phones up.
Mhm.
So you really caught up in the moment. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, December 12th, we want to see y'all in the building. If you want to get a ticket, of course, you can go to my website, www.professorgriff.me, or just give me a text at 678-557-2919. That's December 12th, 7 p.m. It's a Zoom call meeting we having, and we're going to lay it out. All right? Love y'all to life, brothers, and I will definitely see y'all next Wednesday, all right?
All right, we got Larry Griff. Peace.
Good words of Don Cornelius, love, peace, and soul.
Oh.
All right, peace, man. All right, that was my good brothers, Doc and Mr. LP, doing the damn thing. Of course, y'all already kind of know. We do it every Wednesday. Shout out to Kalanji. All right, I checked you out last night, Kalanji. I got you good, bro. All right. Shout out to the Serious Minds family. Quan, thank you very much for doing what you do. And listen, I will be on the Carl Nelson Show discussing this very same thing tomorrow at 6 o'clock, in which I'm going to go a whole lot deeper into the symbology, all right, to this kind of inner workings of what went down at the concert. A lot of times, it's hard to discuss it on these platforms because, you know, these platforms will shut your whole channel down once you dive into some of the demonic nuances of what was going on at Astro Hell or Astro World. All right. So tomorrow on the Carl Nelson Show, I'll be on at 6 o'clock. If some of y'all want to join me, so we can have this discussion and break some of these things down. All right. Shout out to Doc. Shout out to LP. Thank y'all very much. Thank you very much, Quan. Serious Minds family. Peace. Everybody on IG. All right. Peace. Really appreciate y'all. All right. So the S1W Whitehead, what's good with you, man? All right. Anyway, love y'all to life. This is Professor Griff. I got to get out of here. I got to bounce. I just can't even yet. But anyway, peace, fam. Peace. In the workspace. So be mindful of the schemes and the tricks. Oh, you always got to come from here. Out. Racket, tilted over a slap, rack and roll it. You should clear it and get back in the fight. Actually, get on target. Alright, and shoot. How much you can hit? You gotta work those things out. You still come in, boom, boom, boom.